Hi guys, I'm Brandy, this is Hound Dog Hollow, and today we're going to be doing another segment of Waste Not Want Not. And basically, one of the things that I have a gratuitous amount of is boxes. So I just want to briefly, so for example, these are my boxes for this month. So I just wanted to briefly talk about what, how if you get boxes or if you have boxes, what are some ideas for use. Number one, I do giveaways and I send things out on my channel very often. So I end up repurposing these boxes to put gifts in, to stuff with witchy goodies and send to somebody else. That's probably one of the number one things that I do. Followed closely by using them for shipping things. Again, they might be prizes, they might be things that I'm sending as a gift to a friend or a family member. So using them for their intended use over and over again is my first route. So other things that you can use them for, I guess I should say in order of how I use them. So regifting and reshipping, of course, that's the first thing I use them for. Another thing that I like is for storage. So I have a ton of these with different types of items in there. For example, I have a large one with all different types of bags. I have a large one with all different types of little boxes that you might find for jewelry or smaller amulets or things like that. I have boxes for all sorts of things, stickers, socks, just because I don't like for the socks to get I feel like they get lost in the drawer otherwise. Different types of craft products. So sorting and storage is the next thing that I use this for. Other uses for this could be a seed starter. So I'm actually going to use some of these as seed starters because I'm getting really tired of paying for seed starters. So basically I'm going to take this box, empty it all the way, cut this off here, and then use this and this as strips to kind of make little dividers so that I have my different seedlings kind of identifiable for when I need to transplant them. Fill with whatever medium you want and then have my little segments. Plant my little seeds, water them, moisturize them. Keep them moist until they germinate, and when they get a certain size, you transplant them, and you can a lot of times use it again depending on how much water you saturated the seeds with. You can use them basically till they fall apart, and then when they fall apart you can put them in your compost because cardboard's totally fine for that. Another garden use is especially larger boxes, but big flat pieces like this, or breaking the boxes on the corners and flattening them out and putting them at the bottom of your raised beds, or I have used them on top of beds that have been tilled, on top of them weighted down with rocks so that weeds don't grow while I'm waiting for the soil to warm up for whatever it is I'm going to plant. And also I sometimes do it in the fall because like I said, it decomposes, it adds materials, but it also keeps bad things out for a certain amount of time. And by bad things I mean weeds, things that I don't want growing there. No volunteers in that area. Another option, especially if the box, I'm going to keep using this box because it's really pretty, but this box is really pretty as well. And there are other boxes that are really very beautiful. That's one thing about the moon box. It was very lovely, and it had an intention written here. And so this box, especially something like this, you could write something like this yourself, but that would be good for a couple of magical uses. So for, first of all, what comes to mind is a travel altar. Probably better is a smaller sized one. And of course people sometimes use Altoid tins, or they use whatever box that they have, but this is a nice small and discreet box that you could use if you were taking a longer trip, or if you were going somewhere. You could put a lot of stuff in here to take with you as a travel altar. you could use it, and again, I'm going to go back to this one, as a manifestation box. And you don't have to, if you had a plain box, or even if you had a different box like this, you could draw on it and make it your own and write on the inside like what your goal is for this lunar cycle, make an intention, and then fill the box with items that remind you of your intention, strengthen your intention, like as a manifestation box, as a vision board in a container. You could use it in that respect too, and it would contain your magic for this vision, this intention that you're building. Also, but people use boxes a lot as in a very similar sense as the witch's bottle, which is to say that as a container for magic that you store. It can be more permanent boxes, but especially something that you are going to accomplish and then you need to dispose of the remains of the spell. This is really, I think, ideal, because if you bury the whole thing, it's just gonna decompose and break into the ground, which is burying things in the earth, depending on your what you're trying to accomplish here, your spell work, is very good way to solidify and strengthen different types of spells. You could even, I mean, if everything is flammable and this is flammable, you could burn this up. I wouldn't suggest putting it in bodies of water. That's not very respectful, I don't think, unless you rift it up very, very fine, and even then it's kind of littering. So, and of course, I wouldn't recommend burying your remnants, especially if they're of a size, not on your own property or without permission on somebody else's property. Again, it depends on your spiritual background, because I do know that burying things at crossroads and in other places that are public places, and that's whatever you do. I'm not speaking to that. I'm just saying what's possible with a box. Another thing is divination. So especially boxes that already come beautiful, but boxes that you want to make beautiful. You can paint them, you could decorate them, you could put beautiful whatever it is and store your divination tools inside, especially if you had like a loose cloth that you got at the craft store. They have the remnants for like less than $1 most of the time. You could get a piece of velvet or satin or something beautiful, a scarf, a bandana, and wrap your divination tools and just like have protective sigils and store that. And then of course organization. So the seed idea, where you take these and break them down into segments. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to save these boxes for shipping, but I do recommend that. I have done that in the past, and you could use it even if you had the segments be a cereal box or some other type of box or cardboard that you're trying to dispose of. You could use that to make sections, and you can. It's limitless what you could organize and store. Your crystals, your craft items, your jewelry items, a variety of crafts, even socks, underwears, especially folded up very small. This is really cute. And I think I'm just a different aesthetic. And then if you had this segmented out with your underwear rolled, and that's how I used to, in the military, you can roll them up with your underwear rolled in each segment, and then in one segment would be a sachet of something that smells delicious. So your underpants would smell delicious, or your socks, or whatever it is that you're storing. That is another idea. Long story short, there really is no reason to throw these away. They can be reused, and if worse comes to worse and you do not think that you're going to reuse them, I have in the past when I've gotten over 100 boxes, because just sometimes it just builds up and you don't use things, whatever the intention, life happens. if you don't feel like you can use them, you don't have to throw them away. You could compost them, recycle them, or a lot of times I put an ad on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and these things are gone very quickly because other people are shipping and regifting and doing whatever they are, and it helps other people out in your community. So definitely advocating for recycling and repurposing, but mostly, if you can, repurposing is better than recycling because there's still a lot of life left in these items. There's still a lot of use left in the items before we take the energy to break them down, destroy them, and repurpose them for something new. That also costs resources and energy. It's just better than starting from naked or from scratch materials. So repurposing is actually the most beneficial, then recycling, and please just, if you can, don't throw it away. If it's completely soil and just wrecked with some noxious substance that's filled in it, and then really you're limited. And of course, nobody's going to judge you for that. Nobody should judge you anyway, but I digress. Anyway, that's my Waste Not Want Not for boxes this month. There'll be a topic every month, different topics about how I repurpose things that I have instead of wasting things. I actually very rarely throw things away. I almost always repurpose just about anything unless it's completely broken or toxic. And so that's what this series is about, and this has been very fun. So please like, comment. Do you guys do different things, or how do you use your boxes if you have any? And this is more for subscription boxes. For gift boxes and things, I try to open all of my gifts very carefully and break them down and save them and regift them. Just ghetto that way. So thank you for watching. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.